All right, students of history, let's talk about setting up chapter 10, Muslim, Christian, and Jewish encounters in Afro-Eurasia between like the period of 1000 and 1300. And really what we're talking about here is the First Crusade. And you need to be careful when we're talking about the First Crusade and when you're reading these documents, because there is a lot of misperception out there that the Crusades, and particularly the First Crusades, is about Christians versus Muslims. And if you approach it like that, you're going to get lost in the documents pretty quickly because they won't make sense. So you've got it is about Christians and Muslims, but it's about different types of Christians and different types of Muslims. And some of them align themselves with each other. And then you also have Jews involved in this as well. So when you're reading the sources, you want to pay attention to who the author of the source is and see if you can identify specifically who are they? Where are they from? So some of the religions you're going to encounter is you're going to encounter Jews, and you're going to encounter European Jews, and you're going to encounter Middle Eastern Jews. You're going to encounter Christians. Some of those Christians will be Catholic, and some of those Christians will be Orthodox. And the Catholic Christians and the Orthodox Christians don't necessarily trust each other. And they're not necessarily allies. So be on the lookout for that. And then the other thing that you have in terms of Islam is, you may know that you've got, two major branches of Islam in terms of Shia and Sunni. But that's not even really what we're talking about in this particular chapter. We're talking about different ethnic groups who practice the religion of Islam. So keep in mind that Islam is the religion, Muslim is the word for the practitioner of the religion. But Arabic is a language, and not all Muslims are Arabs. And you're going to find that out here. And so as you're taking a look at it, pay attention to the Arab Muslims, to the Turkish Muslims, and to the Persian Muslims. And so you've got three main factions of Muslims, two main factions of Christians, and the alliances move back and forth between this five-way system with Jews kind of caught up in the middle of it. So you want to pay attention to that stuff, because the big question for this week's documents, we're really looking at sort of the roots of religious conflict. So at the one hand, we're looking at the roots of Christian anti-Semitism, negative feelings on the behalf of Christians towards Jews. But the other thing we're trying to look at is what caused the First Crusade, right? What caused the First Crusade? So as you go through the documents, the first document is a secondary source. It is a nice, sweet, clear secondary source in which a historian is talking about the city of Cairo and the relationships between all these different faiths in one of the biggest cities on the planet at the time. So that's what you want to get out of that. What does he say in this huge city? What is the relationship between Jews, Christians, and Muslims like in Cairo. That's the main thing. The next document is this piece. It's a primary source in which the Jews are being granted permission to live in the city of Spire. So what's up with that? Take a look at it. What are the conditions? What's the setup look like? What's up with them being invited into this city? Because what we'll find out later is that they're invited out of the city not long after this. So take a look at this. Document 3 is a reconstruction by a medieval historian of the speech that the Pope gave to kind of kick off the Crusades. But what you want to keep in mind as you're reading that speech, what's the Pope concerned with? On the one hand, he's concerned with the Turks. And on the other hand, he's got concerns about what's going on in Europe. What are his concerns about what's happening in Europe? And how does his call for a crusade address those problems? That's something you want to be on the lookout for. Next piece, this document number 4, the Chronicle of Solomon Bar Simpson. He's really looking at a Christian attack on Jews in Europe. What happened? What happened? Document 5 and document 6 are both written by Ibn al-Athir. He is a big name Muslim historian from the medieval period. If you do any kind of interest in the Crusades, any kind of interest in the Black Death, you're going to run across this guy. So we've got 2 documents from him really describing what's up with the First Crusade from a Muslim point of view, sort of, because he's pretty good at trying to figure out what everybody's points of view. And also what happens in the battle for Jerusalem. And I think that one of the things you want to think about while you're reading these 2 documents is at what point does Christian sentiment become anti-Muslim? Is there a trigger? Is there an event? And then the same thing in reverse. At what point does Muslim sentiment seem to become anti-Christian? Is there a trigger? Is there an event that causes that to solidify? So read his stuff carefully. And then the last document we have is a letter from a Jewish pilgrim in Egypt. So this is a guy who's like traveling, right? And he's in Egypt and he gets caught during this conflict. Who does he feel more comfortable around? And why? So I think that's a good way for us to think about things. You're going to see some cooperation between Muslim and Christian armies. You're going to see hostility between Muslims and Christian armies. And let's see if we can sort out kind of what causes this kind of stuff. And then you can think about things like long-term causes and short-term causes. So that's a good way to approach the readings for this particular chapter. Be sure to take your notes as you go, and we will discuss this stuff. We'll see you around campus.